Today we're going to go into the angel Abaddon and how he weighs the scales of justice and how he's become the most trusted servant of God. The figure of Abaddon is one of the most enigmatic and misunderstood entities in spiritual and theological discourse, often depicted in popular culture as somewhat of a devilish or demonic destructive force. Abaddon is in truth a powerful angelic being who serves as one of God's most trusted servants. His role in divine justice, particularly as the scales upon which the hearts of the departed are weighed, positions him not as a force of chaos, but rather as an instrument of justice and divine will. Through an exploration of different scriptural references and interpretations of mythological stories, we're going to look at different religious perspectives and get to the true nature of Abaddon as an angelic figure of justice who executes God's judgment with unwavering fidelity. So let's look at the theological identity of Abaddon. The name Abaddon itself appears several times in the Bible, predominantly in the Old Testament, and the book of Revelation in the New Testament. The term originates from the Hebrew word Abaddon, meaning destruction or place of destruction. In the Old Testament, it is associated with the realm of the dead, particularly in Job chapter 26, verse 6, where it is stated, Sheol is naked before God, Abaddon has no covering. This suggests that Abaddon is closely linked to the afterlife and the domain where souls are judged, as if you were crossing the river Styx. In the New Testament, specifically in Revelation 9:11, Abaddon is explicitly identified as the angel of the abyss. They have as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit. His name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in Greek he is called Apollyon. While many interpret this passage as portraying Abaddon as a force of destruction, others see it as signifying his prominent role as a heavenly administrator of divine justice, a being who ensures that the wicked receive their exact just punishment. Christian and Jewish scholars have long debated Abaddon's precise role. Some traditions depict him as a fearsome angel who executes God's wrath upon the unrepentant, while others view him as a gatekeeper of the abyss, ensuring that divine justice is meted out appropriately. Regardless of whatever interpretation you go with, it's clear that Abaddon is not a rogue agent of destruction, but rather a precise instrument of divine law. Let's talk about Abaddon and the scales of justice. Abaddon's function extends beyond the mere execution of judgment. He is also integral to the process by which judgment is rendered. In theological discourse, many scholars equate him with the concept of the scales of justice, reminiscent of the ancient belief in Mayat, where the hearts of the deceased were weighed against the feather of truth. Similarly, Abaddon serves as a celestial arbiter, a referee, so to speak, in the heavens, ensuring that all souls receive a fair and final judgment. The weighing of the heart is a powerful metaphor and symbol for divine justice. In many traditions, the heart represents the true essence of an individual, their deeds, their intentions, and their spiritual purity. In Proverbs chapter 21, verse 2 states, Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs the heart. If God is the ultimate judge, and Abaddon acts as the executor of this divine weighing process, determining the fate of souls based on their righteousness or iniquity. You might call him judge, jury, and executioner. Unlike the merciful aspects, he's very impartial. He does not judge based on sentiment, but on the absolute truth of a soul's worthiness. His role is neither to condemn nor to absolve, but to measure, ensuring that each soul receives precisely what it has earned. This aligns with the biblical concept of divine justice, wherein no deed goes unaccounted for and every individual must answer for their actions. In other spiritual forms, this might be known as karma. Now, Abaddon's position as a trusted servant of the Most High God of Spirit is affirmed through his unwavering commitment to divine law and justice. The book of Revelation portrays him as leading the army of locusts out of the abyss, bringing destruction and wrath on those who have defied God's will. While this imagery may be interpreted in a very negative light, it is crucial to understand that Abaddon does not act out of malice, but out of obedience to divine command. To comprehend his role in judgment, we must recognize that Abaddon is not merely a destruction bringer, but rather a purifier. In eschatological terms, Destruction is often a necessary precursor to renewal. Throughout Scripture, fire and destruction are frequently employed as metaphors of purification, removing the wicked so that the righteous may flourish. In this sense, Abaddon serves as the harbinger of divine justice, ensuring that only those worthy of eternal grace shall linger behind and remain. Abaddon's actions align with God's ultimate plan for balance and order. The destruction that he oversees is not chaotic, but very methodical and deliberate, targeting only those whose hearts are found wanting. He does not choose who is condemned. Rather, he enforces the decree that's already been made, based on divine will and law. Remember that the Most High God knows all things, and that his angelic executioner will follow his will out precisely to the letter, without corruption and without deviation. While Abaddon is predominantly a Judeo-Christian figure in most accounts, parallels to his roles exist in other spiritual and religious traditions. As mentioned earlier, the Egyptian concept of Mayat and the weighing of the heart has a strong analog to Abaddon's function in divine justice. In Hinduism, Yama, the god of death and justice, also presides over the souls of the deceased, determining their fate based on their karma. In the Yoruba religion, Abaddon shares similarities with Orunmila, the deity of wisdom and divination who ensures justice and balance. Orunmila does not punish directly, but reveals the truth of a person's destiny, much like Abaddon's weighing of the heart. Similarly, Eshu, the trickster and enforcer of divine law, ensures that actions lead to corresponding consequences, making him another parallel figure in the administration of divine justice like Abaddon. Among Native American traditions, certain deities and spirits serve as judges of the deceased. In Hopi belief, the god Masa is a guardian of the afterlife who oversees the passage of souls and ensures that the balance is maintained between life and death. In Aztec traditions, Mictlantecuhtli, the god of the underworld, oversees the journey of souls, ensuring that each receives their just due and deserved fate based on an accounting of their earthly deeds. Now, in other indigenous African faiths, you have deities like Anansi, the spider, and Papa Legba, who act as intermediaries that ensure justice through cosmic balance, connecting mortal actions with divine consequences. In this light, Abaddon stands as not just a unique or isolated figure, but as part of a global archetype, an enforcer of divine justice whose roles is crucial to the moral and spiritual order of things. Abaddon is one who balances mercy with justice. And a common misconception about Abaddon is that he represents some sort of purely destructive, cold, unfeeling force without any compassion or mercy. Quite the opposite. His existence within the divine hierarchy suggests a different interpretation. Just as God is both merciful and just, Abaddon serves as the necessary counterbalance to divine mercy. If mercy allows for redemption, justice ensures accountability. Without Abaddon's role in judgment, the concept of divine justice would be meaningless and perhaps even incomplete. Thus, it's important to remember that in this type of mythology, destruction is often a means to an end. Looking at the flood in Judaism at the time of Noah, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, and the plagues of Egypt, these were all acts of divine retribution and judgment, which were meant to cleanse and restore a balance after a great injustice. Abaddon operates within this framework, ensuring that divine justice is not merely an abstract concept, but a tangible reality that matches the deeds. Ultimately, Abaddon's role is one of divine trust. To be entrusted with the scales of justice is to hold a position of immense power and responsibility, requiring absolute faithfulness to God's will. Abaddon does not act out of personal desire, but out of unwavering commitment and obedience to the Most High God, serving as an extension of divine judgment itself. In conclusion, far from being a rogue agent of destruction, Abaddon is one of God's most loyal and trusted servants, fulfilling a critical role in divine justice. His presence in spiritual, biblical, and theological traditions, alongside his analogs in faith systems around the planet, reminds us that ultimate justice is a universal certainty, ensuring that righteousness always prevails and that every soul is held accountable before Spirit, the Most High God.